Third chapter, the inner war. Another thing we have to understand is the function of our mind, especially in the game of pleasure and pain. The game of pleasure and pain takes a major role in our daily life. Suppose I meet with a heavy financial loss in my business. It gives me a great mental agony. Someone in my family gets an incurable disease. It causes me a great mental agony. The reasons for my mental agony may be different, but the mental agony is the same. The cause may be different, but the mental experience is the same. Suppose I regain my property that I had lost. It gives me a great mental pleasure. Somebody appreciates my work. It gives me a great mental pleasure. In the same way, if my family member gets cured of the incurable disease, it causes a great mental pleasure. The reasons for my mental pleasure is different, but the mental pleasure is one and the same. The unpleasant situation causes agony to us. The pleasant situation causes pleasure in our mind. It is natural. Our mind is so arranged to produce such kind of feelings. If anybody gets pleasure on the loss of one's properties, it is abnormal. It is normal only if he becomes sad. So, an average person will have the same feeling of pleasure and pain in a given situation. That is the normal function of the mind. Suppose someone has lost all his properties and there is no chance to regain it. He cannot rectify the situation. The situation causes him great mental agony. He suffers a lot with his mental agony. He cannot get any relief from his mental agony. The mental agony is also painful. What can he do with his mental agony? It is the nature of mind to produce mental agony. Everybody will have the same agony if put to that situation. It is the nature of the situation and it is the nature of the mind. There is no doubt about it. But are we prepared to accept the nature of our mind? Even though it is the nature of our mind, we cannot accept the pain of our mind. We want relief from our pain. We want mental peace. Otherwise, we would become mad. Our subconscious mind, as we have already seen, is the cause of our experiences. When we are put to a situation, our subconscious mind responds according to the situation. All such responses produced by our subconscious mind are expressed as conscious experience. So, what we experience as our mental agony is the expression made by our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is our mental structure. So, we cannot but produce the experiences according to the nature of our subconscious mind. We cannot directly control our subconscious mind. So, the expression from our subconscious mind is automatic. We cannot order what kind of feelings and experiences it should produce. It will act according to the circumstances it faces. Our conscious desires and longings will not be heard by the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is not within the reach of our conscious mind. We may have unpleasant feeling upon our agony produced by our subconscious mind. Our conscious unpleasant feeling will not reach the subconscious mind. We may try to control the function of the subconscious mind, but we cannot control it. The conscious mind has only a very limited power over the subconscious mind. For example, we are put in an unpleasant situation. We get angry with someone else. Our anger is the expression of our subconscious mind, so we become angry with someone else. Even though we feel angry with that person, we will be unable to express our anger upon him if he is our superior officer. So we cannot show our anger outwardly. Though we are angry with him, we control our anger within ourselves. We can reduce our conscious expression to a certain extent, but the conscious mind cannot have any control over the subconscious mind. It cannot order the subconscious mind not to produce anger. It will not hear the voice of the conscious mind. It will produce anger in the given situation. But our conscious mind will not accept the truth. It always tries to control the subconscious mind. Our conscious mind is willing to lead a perfect life. We want to be a perfect human being. We want perfection in every aspect of our life. So, we want to shape ourselves in accordance with our theory about perfection. We want perfection in our words and deeds. We want perfect mind and perfect thought. We know what perfection is. We have our own theory for our perfection. We have formulated it according to the vision of noble men and spiritual scriptures. Thereby we feel that love is good, forgiveness is good, patience is good, hatred is bad, revenge is bad, and envy is bad. In the same way, we have a long list of what is good and what is bad. Our conscious mind always strives for the maintenance of good and the removal of bad. But however we may try, our effort will not reach the subconscious mind directly. Our subconscious mind functions as it has been made in its depth. Our subconscious mind may have the mixture of good and bad qualities. It will express the quality of such feeling according to the circumstances in which it is placed. Our subconscious mind has no theory of perfection of its own. It is only a storehouse. Everything is there. It functions as a machine, as a robot. It will not follow the theory of perfection which the conscious mind is maintaining. Everybody wants to be free from anger and hatred. But anger and hatred come out without one's willingness. Everybody wants peace of mind, but against one's will, there arise anxiety and worry. Our subconscious mind is designed like that. The content of the subconscious mind flows into the conscious mind according to the situation it faces. Our subconscious mind responds to the situation, producing the experiences what it feels necessary. It will not consult the conscious mind before producing the feelings. It expresses all its feelings according to the nature of its own. Its nature may be to produce sorrow. Its nature may be to produce fear. It functions according to its nature. But when we have the theory of perfection in our conscious mind, we feel the situation unpleasant because I become sorrow against my will. So I do not like the sorrow. So I am against my own feelings. So the conscious mind is always in war with the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind produces something and the conscious mind wants to alter it. The struggle becomes a routine affair. What is one to do in this situation? I am angry upon the negligent act of my neighbor. I think, according to my theory, that anger is bad. I do not want to have anger even at the wrongdoings of others. If the neighbor, for example, asks forgiveness for his negligent act, we are at once free from our anger. When the situation changes, the feeling produced by our subconscious mind also changes. But is it possible for us to change the situation every time so that we can be free of our bad feelings? Is it right if one says, I am a good-natured man, if the situation is favorable? Don't think I am behaving bad. I would behave like a gentleman if the situation is acceptable. Is it right if one says like this? But this is the normal way of our life in the world. Our question is different. Can we be perfect at all times even if the situation does not change? The situations will be of various kinds. We cannot arrange them in accordance with our will. Each and every situation will arise out of the happenings of a chain of events. We cannot shape it according to our will. We can take control over certain things, but most of the things are beyond our reach and control. So, can we have our conscious mind and subconscious mind in perfect order without changing the situation? We have to bring order between the conscious and the subconscious minds. How can we pacify the conflict between the conscious and subconscious minds? Can we change the structure and nature of the subconscious mind? You and I cannot change the nature of the subconscious mind because we do not know the content of the subconscious mind. We can identify the nature of its content only when it comes as conscious experience. It is one-way traffic. The subconscious mind alone can use the way to the consciousness, but the consciousness cannot enter in that way to the subconscious mind. So, we cannot change the nature of our subconscious mind. The only thing left with us is our conscious mind. The conscious mind is our day-to-day mind. We can consciously think out the problem and our situation. We ourselves are consciousness. We are nothing but consciousness. Consciousness is ourselves and we ourselves are consciousness. So, we can think for ourselves and act for ourselves. We do our daily activities with the help of our conscious mind. In other words, the conscious mind does the daily activities. Even from a schoolboy to a greatest scientist, all do their work with a conscious mind. The functional mind is the conscious mind. It does everything in the world. It plans everything and does everything. Day by day, the capacity of the conscious mind increases. It goes up to an enormous extent in the field of science. In the same way, it tries to have control over the subconscious mind. Even though it fails in its attempts, it always tries. It wants to have control over the subconscious mind and control over the feelings of the subconscious mind. In this situation, many noble men render their help to us. They offer us various religious and spiritual practices. There are numerous practices in the spiritual field. No doubt they are powerful. The spiritual practices provide us with a great help to maintain the relationship between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Even though we cannot obtain a complete compromise between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, those practices give us basic needs for success. Even though the spiritual practices help us to a great extent, they have some limitations. When we are doing our spiritual practices, the relationship between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is brought under control. But the situation will not last long. Moreover, we cannot have spiritual practice at all times without any break. For example, when a person is worshipping God or singing bhajans, he would not get anger easily even though the situation warrants so. Our conscious practice may bring the subconscious mind under control during that particular period. Everybody is doing daily spiritual practices for years, but they are not successful in the act of bringing the subconscious mind and permanent control. Even though it is useful only to a certain extent. All our spiritual practices are very good. There is no doubt about it. But there is also a wrong aspect in the spiritual practices that we hardly take notice of. It gives us a false hope that we can control the subconscious mind permanently through spiritual practices. It gives us a false hope that we can get enlightenment through the spiritual practices. If we do not have the hope, we will try other ways for the permanent remedy. Spiritual practices are very much helpful, but they are helpful only to a certain extent. After that, the same practices which gave us progress will detain us in a certain state forever. Then, after a long period only, one would come to know that he was detained in a wrong and monotonous state. Spiritual practices are good. We have to make use of them, and afterwards we have to step away from the practice. If we are unable to bring an end to the conflict between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind through our spiritual practices, then what else can we do? Next comes the way of understanding. When understanding operates, the entire problem is solved immediately. The war between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind comes to an end permanently. Only by this understanding, the lifelong war comes to an end. Such is the nature of this kind of understanding. Buddha tried so many spiritual practices. He underwent so many penances. At last he found out and realized the limitations of the spiritual practices. In a fraction of a second, he got this understanding under the Bodhi tree. This understanding is very rare because he himself attained it without the help of anyone else. But it is very simple if one is also simple, open and honest in one's approach to what enlightenment is.